Hello, there is a new Volkswagen California campervan which has just been released by Volkswagen. The T6.1 may no longer be in production for the other vehicles, but the California is still in production for the time being. And as of today, the Volkswagen California Surf is specable on the system. You can spec. So today we're going to go through having a look at the different specs, the different options to see. But if you don't want to waste your time watching all the video, I'll give you a brief overview. Basically, it's an Ocean without all the bits which you can't get hold of because of the component shortages. That's what it appears like to me. Let's have a closer look at the specking of the vehicle and I will explain some of the differences as we go along. So here we go. On the configurator, you can see you've got the Volkswagen California Ocean, the California Beach Tour, the California Beach Camper, and now the California Surf. So let's get in and build our own California Surf. So the first screen which we come to is the engine choice, but it isn't actually a choice. You don't have a choice on the engine. It is purely the 150 diesel 7-speed DSG gearbox, which there isn't a choice, but to be honest with you, that is the engine which I would potentially go for. I do believe it is a very good middle ground, and that is an extremely good engine. So next option. And here we have the paint choices. So all the colour options remain as per the Ocean with one exception, and that is that you can't spec the two-tone colour paint scheme. So as there is no Bayleaf Green here, which is, as you might know if you were a regular watcher of the channel, Bayleaf Green is my favourite colour. Second favourite being Ascot Grey, so let's get on to the Ascot Grey. And now we move on to the interior choices, and this is actually more of a statement than a choice because you've only got the one, which is the Palladium. So we shall click that and move on to the wheel choices. So wheel choices, as standard, the wheel choices for the Surf is 16-inch wheels. These are the 16-inch Clayton, and you've got the 17-inch Woodstock available and the 17-inch Davenports available. But if we choose the Woodstock, which I'm going to choose for this, and we will go for the optional all-season tyres. I think these are probably the tyres which are most appropriate for the majority of users in the UK. I did a video on winter tyres discussing these tyres as well, so do have a look at that video. I shall pop it in the description below. So now we get onto the interior options, and I think now is a good time to talk about the differences between the Ocean and the Surf. So as standard, without options being ticked, the Surf does not have these items. It doesn't have the bigger wheels as standard. You can option up to 17-inch, whereas on the Ocean itself, you can actually go up to 18 inches. If it's a problem, you can always get aftermarket wheels if that was your thing. Adaptive cruise control is not standard on the Surf, and nor does it come with an awning, but you can obviously spec this in the options should you wish. The beautiful, something I absolutely love about the California, the digital cockpit. It's not on the Surf, and as far as I can see, I don't think you can actually spec it as an additional item. Double glazing and heat insulated glass at the rear of the vehicle is not standard. External power mirrors, again, not standard. And this is one of the components which I do know Volkswagen are struggling with at the moment and can't get hold of them. And that is one of the reasons probably why they're not included on this vehicle. This also goes for the rear view camera, which again is not standard on this vehicle. Problem with components. Discovery media, streaming and internet, not standard. You do have to tick this additional box and pay more if that is something which you want for the Surf. Fly screens on sliding windows, not included. However, a big plus, which we was not expecting for this vehicle, the pop-top roof is indeed electric. Not the manual roof which we're expecting, it is the electric roof. So there are a few things which you don't get on the Surf, which you do get as standard on the Ocean. But there's not an awful lot of difference. And I know you are probably saying, wow, that's a ridiculous amount of money for the van. But is it? What are you actually comparing it to? A low spec conversion which has been done from a panel van with no extra safety upgrades, probably wouldn't actually pass a crash test, and noted on the logbook as a panel van or a van with windows. Well, these are registered motor caravans on the DVLA V5C logbook. They're strengthened to pass the necessarily safety tests for it to be a campervan, a passenger carrying vehicle at the higher speeds. And in 3, 5, 10 years time, the residual value of this vehicle will probably be considerably higher than the equivalent non-motor caravan registered campervan. So actually, to buy it might be more expensive, but in the long run, is it actually going to be cheaper? So what is this going to cost me today if I was to spec it up? What additional options can I get on this vehicle to make it more appropriate to me? I'm not going to buy it, but I am going to spec it. Let me know in the comments what you would spec, if at all you would actually go for this vehicle. So let's carry on and have a look at the options. So as you can see here, all these boxes are ticked, but I mentioned the adaptive cruise control, which isn't in there, but we can add that, and I think we will. Although I do know a lot of people don't like the adaptive cruise control because it irritates them. To be honest with you, I don't particularly like it either. But I'm going to spec it anyway for good resale value after, when it comes to be sold, that option, which is only cheap, £288, bearing in mind you're spending £60,000–70,000 on a van, it's actually going to be worth it in the long run, I'd have thought. So the dynamic chassis control with dynamic chassis, drive select, £1,542. Going to leave that for now. Awning, I mentioned it doesn't come with an awning, but we can add that, £762. Although personally, that's not something I want for my van. But I've used mine as a daily driver, so I don't want to be driving around with an awning along the side of the vehicle. I'd prefer one which I can just pack away and pull away and take separately. Outdoor shower connection. Yep, let's have a go at the outdoor shower collection, and then we move on to the fuel tank, the body and the chassis. So with standard, this comes with a 70-litre tank, but for the sake of 90 quid, let's get a bigger tank in there. Always going to be helpful having that extra 10 litres rather than having to stop at every petrol station. The all-important motor registration, motorhome registration on the logbook. This is really, really good to have. It's not only the Volkswagen Californias though that are type approved. If you've been watching my other videos, you will notice that there's a lot of NCC. Well, there isn't a lot at all. There's actually about a handful of approved converters who've got type approved vehicles which have been strengthened and upgraded, gone through all these additional security measures, made sure that they're safe with the HSE and the gas and the electric, the gas safe registered, and all these different regulations they've been through, and they are much better vehicles than just the bog standard panel van converter who hasn't done these additional upgrades. And they are also registered as a motorhome on the DVLA logbook. Anyway, safe box, you can have a safe in there if you want to store your valuables. Uprated starter battery, 92 amp hours, increased alternator capacity. Not a bad thing to have. Let's take that on there. And then we've got the driver assistance. Obviously we've clicked the adaptive cruise control, so we've got the cruise control on there, which is cancelled out because obviously we don't need that. Magnetic flashlight with docking station. Let's get a big Larry. Get a little Larry, love them. Cracking torches. Exterior. Now obviously we've got all the colour-coded body parts and it's all looking good, although it isn't two-tone if that was your thing. But you could always get it painted or get a cheap wrap on there. Like I mentioned, you've not got the double glazing in the rear seat and the insulated glass, but you can have that additioned spec'd for £402, including VAT. Must have it really, haven't you? Surely. You've got the driver and front airbags in there. The electrically operated pop top. Fantastic. Really, really good to have. If you're a person of smaller stature, shall we say, or you are of the older generation without being ageist, if you're a little bit weaker and you can't pull down the pop tops, And that is something I'm going to be bringing to the channel very soon, because a lot of people say some of the pop-tops don't have handles. No, they don't, because if you're 5 foot, you ain't going to be able to reach those handles without getting on the seat. It's actually quite an interesting video. I will save that for the future. You can have some mud flaps. Mud flaps, good, and always keep the dirt off as well. Power latching for driver's side door. You can have the power sliding door on the right hand side. Love a power sliding door. Do you know what, if I probably would go for that if I could have that option. So I am gonna go for it just to see what this comes out at. But obviously this is my spec which I'm choosing. You don't have to do yours. The roof bellows, glacier blue, strawberry red. Nah, I'm gonna leave that as standard as it is. Got an interesting video coming on that soon though as well. The pop tops and the actual canvas. Can't bring it out too soon though because it's not officially been announced, but some great news coming up on that. Tow bar preparation, removable, unlockable. Yeah, gonna have to have that. And we then come on to the in-car entertainment. Now the in-car entertainment's an interesting one because you can get all these bells and whistles and all these extra features, but most people just want CarPlay. So do you need all these additional extra features? And for the sake of 1,500 quid, you could probably actually get a better stereo system, better sound quality, better features like the Alpine Halo 11 for less than the price of that system. So I'm going to leave that. Thank you very much, Volkswagen. So then we come on to the interior. One swivel seat with longitudinal adjustment of rail system. Nah, I don't want that. Don't want that. Bed extension with comfort sleeping mat. You want to sleep in comfort, don't you? And as these beds aren't as comfy as the rib beds you get in some of the other conversions, the NCC Approved conversions which I've mentioned, because they're not as comfy. You do need that to have a better night's sleep. So you've got obviously all these all included. Storage net, not going to bother with that. Wooden floor with plastic lining. Yeah, you need that. You've got to have the wooden floor with the plastic lining. It's a necessity. It's a must. So then your safety features. I'm not going to tick any of those apart from the direct tyre pressure monitoring system, which I do think is useful. Always good to know that your tyres are correctly inflated and you've obviously got the proper tyres on there. And if you've gone for aftermarket wheels, then they're the proper load rating wheels with the load rated tyres. It is extremely important. First aid kit with warning triangle and safety vest. 72 quid, I don't need that. I've got loads of that already. And if you haven't got one, then tick the box because you should have one. You do need it. We've been through the wheels. We've been through the tyres. You can have the alloy spur wheel, a bit lighter than the steel spur, although it probably would be prone to be stolen a little bit more. Keep that as it is for now. So there we go. Let's click on the summary and see where we are. So in summary, we have the value vehicle spec of £74,300. So that's the standard vehicle coming out at 62,234. Paid extra for the wheels. We've got the adaptive cruise control, the 17-inch alloys, the tow bar, the wooden floor, the uprated starter motor, cupboards with the shower connection, the bed with comfort sleeping mat, upgraded fuel tank to 80 litres. We've obviously got the awning, which you don't get as standard on the Ocean, direct tyre pressuring system, the better tyres, the all-season tyres, double glazing in the rear, mud flaps and power sliding door. 74,300. So what do you think of this vehicle? What are your thoughts on the Surf? Have you got the California Ocean at the moment, or have you got the beach? Or have you just got another style of campervan? What do you think of this Surf? Why do you think they've brought it into the range? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if this is because of the parts accessibility. Are they just doing it because they can't actually produce the Oceans in big numbers at the moment? because they can't get hold of these components. I'm not quite sure if that's what the reason is. I'm guessing we shall see, because it still comes with the cooking systems and the compressor fridge, and it looks like a California ocean in many ways. I don't know. Anyway, I'm currently doing a buying guide on campervans if you are looking at buying your campervan. So if you're new to the channel, why not have a look at my other videos where I am talking about a lot more about campervans and what you can do with them, and actually a buying guide. Thanks for watching, take care, I hope to see you soon.